Yes, Judges.
Hello, Dan. How you doing? You
What are you
all
up to, bro?
I'm actually watching the football, mate. This Surfshark VPN is a lifesaver, mate. You can watch the football with a dodgy Wi-Fi, even at the Emirates when you've got a big crowd there and everything like that, watching the football. Unbelievable.
Easy to set up? Well, it must be if you've done it, mate.
Ah, very, very funny. Even abroad you can watch all your favourite programmes. It's like being at home, mate.
And that's exactly what you guys can do too. Click the link in the description for Surfshark VPN.
Yes, it is. The floor has been raised, and it's time for us to, as everybody understands, be ruthless. And yes, we understand that Havertz is having a great season, but the fact of the matter is we can do more. We can be more. And nothing was as great a litmus test as Bayern Munich. As much as Kai Havertz is doing in the league, the fact of the matter is he went missing during our most optimal time of the season during the Champions League. We need a guy in the box who can literally give the ball to and say, listen, go put the ball away. Get us 15 to 20 minimum, and let us charge forward and have a duo of strikers being Havertz and let's say an Isaac.
How did he go missing? Where did Mikel Arteta play Kai Havertz in the first leg against Bayern Munich?
He played up top, and he gave up some hold-up play. But the fact of the matter is, there were some chances that fell to his feet that he didn't finish.
No, he never. He played him in midfield.
Did he put him in midfield?
Yes.
In the first leg, yeah.
Yes. In the first leg.
But the second leg, he was a striker. Yes.
The first leg is where it mattered the most. We lost what was working, and the manager has to be a little bit accountable for that.
Agreed.
Yes. Yeah.
Understood. But the fact of the matter is, Arteta didn't feel confident in bringing Havertz up top, even in the first leg. We need a man who's going to go in there first thing, and say, you know what?
It's been working since Dubai.
He's been working since Dubai, but when bigger competition came to play, Arteta had a second thought. He said, you know what?
No,
let me think about that again.
This is where Arteta sometimes, okay, and I think it's undeniable what he's doing, and I think that he's doing a phenomenal job. Every now and again, he's got the square peg, round holes thing about him, and I thought that he was done with that a little bit. And why change what was working? You know, I'm not saying it was a left-back Xhaka semi-final of Europa League, but that this is a team that it enjoys familiarity. Footballers like to know what they're doing week in, week out. And it had been working, and he changed it, and it didn't work in the first leg.
Well, I understood, but the fact of the matter is, we need to go into next year thinking, having a striker that says, you know what, from day one, you're our number one guy. You're the guy who's going to get us the goals. You're the guy who's you're the guy who's going to put it away for 20 to 25 goals a season. And we should be prevaricating any way, shape, or form going into next season. Yes. We should have a backup as good as Man City. Now, let's say this: Man City have the best duo, I would say, in world football up top. In terms of the striker position, we need to be near to them, if not above them, in terms of the hierarchy when it comes to our duo in terms of striker. Now, to those who say that it should just be Havertz and we should, try and find a understudy that would fill in places. No, that is not the way to go. That is definitely not the way to go. We will be sorry for that decision going into next season for sure, and we will lose the title because of it. And I insist that we walk up to Newcastle and say, Newcastle, you've had some FFP issues. Fine, here's $120 million to help out with those issues that you may have. We would like to have that man, that number 14
player. An injury-prone player,
and that man, and listen, it's worth it because you know why? Guess who's in behind him? A guy named Mr. Havertz. So you can indeed take that time off and say, you know what? You're in a bit of the red. You take a day off. Havertz, you go ahead and you score us those 10 to 15 goals a season. So therefore, we have cover. That's what's called cover. That's what's called team. That's what encompasses a holistic team that's ready to go on all fronts, not just one front. Because this year, let's face fact, we had that one front, and we expected a good run into a quarterfinal Champions League. Do we all say that the quarterfinal Champions League was a good run? Yes. So next year we want to step it up to a semifinal. Do we want to step it up to a final? And the only way to do that, the only top clubs do that, is when they have a duo that they can depend on. Take a look at what happened just this week at at Real Madrid. They brought on Joselu. Joselu got them 2 goals, got them into the final. Simple as that. That's what's called superior management. That's called superior squad depth. That's called superior, and that's called superior technical ability in all areas. And that's what, yes, exactly. It takes money. That's right. You tell them it takes money.
I'll throw one monkey wrench into everything, Elliot. You just said superior management. I will argue, and at the end of the season, all of us and all of the shows that we do, the one thing we're going to do, if we do not win the title, is we are going to look for where to place the blame.
Not really.
And the
No, come on.
No. Hear me out. We're going to ask why.
We know why. We already know why.
You look for moments. Because
every team looks for moments. Liverpool will look back and think, "Oh my God, what happened? We were right there."
I think it's natural that the teams that are there, us, City. Look, if we win it, and City don't, City are going to do that. City will look at where did we not. So my point is this. This is where I was going with this. There were moments where I think Arteta got it wrong. And the one thing that worries me is everything we're talking about here and the players that we bring in, the one thing that I always come back to with him is he has to trust what his eyes are telling him. And he has to trust his feelings, and he has to trust the players that he hands a shirt to match in and match out. And he doesn't always do that. And he doesn't
trust his bench.
I agree. He needs to have 18 players on the pitch.
Exactly. But
he needs to have 18 players on the pitch he can trust. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yes.
But here's what's funny about that is that even if the players that we look at the starting 11 right now and we say he changes something up and he puts them on the bench, he still doesn't. What you just said, literally, the words that came out of your mouth are 100% true. He doesn't trust the bench. And I'm not sure it matters who is on the bench. He doesn't trust the bench. And it's almost like I'm not giving you a starting role today, so I don't trust you. I don't fully trust you.
You know what it is that he doesn't trust is if you make a mistake in a game. For example, Kivior had been having a terrific run up until the Bayern Munich game, right? Yep. And maybe in that moment, Mikel didn't understand that he wasn't ready for the moment. And let's be honest, you know, he hadn't been in at international level, maybe, right? So when you look at that moment, should you have played Tomiyasu? Was he fully fit? Did he have a choice? But what happens is then he doesn't trust that play. How many times has Kivior played since Bayern Munich? That's what happens with Mikel Arteta. If you give him a bad performance, you've got to earn it back. No matter how many good games you gave him, if you give him one bad game, you're going to really have to earn his trust again. I think that's something, that's a growth issue for Mikel.
Yes.
And at this time of year, it's hard to get that trust back. You're right.
Go on, African. Go on.
I was going to say, in terms of what Sophie's saying, I don't entirely agree, Sophie. I think it's more about the quality. I agree with you. Look, if Saka makes a mistake, or if any of his, I don't want to say favorite players, because they're his favorite players because they're obviously our best players. Even they're our favorite players because we know they're our best players. If they make those same mistakes, I don't think they get the same treatment as a Reece Nelson and Nketiah, who I think Arteta definitely doesn't trust. And he's just kind of, withered with these players because we couldn't do this whole overhaul squad, get 20 players, and we've done it, as you said, inch by inch, right? And I think this summer is that final piece for me where he gets rid of these guys that he doesn't trust on the bench, and he needs to just revamp it with 3-4 players, as you said, and then the Jesus and Zinchenko become the squad players. That's the next evolution I see in the squad. I don't necessarily think that, if you make one mistake, you're out of this team. I think it's specific.
I mean, it happened to Pepe. It happened to Pepe. It happened. You can go as far back as the Pepe. But it happened. No, but it happened to Pepe. Xhaka gets a red card and he got patted on the butt on the way out to the tunnel.
No, fair enough. I'm sure there's examples. Yeah,
right. And I can give you more. But so, yes.
There has been examples of man management. I remember with the man management of Xhaka and Pepe, like you say. I remember Nuno Tavares getting taken off at 31 minutes and screamed at him.
It's happened to Aaron Ramsdale. Aaron Ramsdale's mistake at Southampton. Yeah. If he trusted Turner more, Turner would have played the rest of the season. But he didn't trust him at all. So
all the players that we're referencing are our B team, right? They're not our A team.
Yeah, but that's what we have to reference, right? Yeah. So Mikel Arteta, as strong as he's made the squad, you're right in that he needs another Zinchenko, Jesus. it's time for Eddie to go. It's time for Reece Nelson to go.
Nelson,
It's time for, there's a long list. Yeah, the Lokonga, don't give me he's been good for Luton. No, stop. You need to upgrade from Lokonga and those types of players too. So, yeah, we're in agreement on finding the Zinchenkos and the Jesuses to match what's on the bench, no doubt.
We needed to upgrade Lokonga when we got him.
I mean, listen, I think there's a lot I agree with in what you've said, in what you've both said, actually. Eros says doesn't trust his bench, but trust the process, question mark. Listen, I will say this. I do feel like what Mikel Arteta sometimes needs to learn, and I actually agree with Tanner. I think there will be the question mark of
Stan, sorry, hold on a second. What is that? Like, back that up. Okay, put another 199 in. And what do you mean doesn't trust his best, but trust the process? We are the closest we've ever been to winning the title since the Invincibles, okay? And the only reason we might not win it is because we're up against a juggernaut of a team called Manchester City that you fans cry about their 115 charges week in, week out. But Pep Guardiola still has to manage a team, and somehow he's assembled one of the greatest teams, they say. He's the greatest manager. And you have your cone man, supposedly, challenging the greatest manager of all time to a Premier League title 2 years in a row. So what are you talking about? Don't trust the process. We're past the process. We're in progress. The next phase is success.
Like,
I just don't get that.
Let me come in quickly.
Well said, Sophie. Well said. Let me say this. Remember, our process was so good. Other teams are having their processes now. Other teams are copying what we're doing. Man United are going through their process. Chelsea will try to do a process. Who else? Newcastle are trying a process. Everybody's trying a process. But yet, when we started our process, we were the banter club then. They said, oh, that process won't work. You need to get full ready-made players with great managers, and everybody's getting assembled. They're all on that bloody, Man City train. At the end of the day, and Sophie's absolutely right about this. Our process is so good. Other teams are now creating their own processes. And it's stunning to see. And now we're looking back and saying, oh, well, I guess you like that process, eh?
Well, let me just quickly say before I bring Albert in, Eros, thanks for the super chat. If you do want to come back, Sophie.
Eros is my friend. Eros. Sophie's the greatest. I tell you what, mate. She means well. I truly must say that. Yes.
If you do want to come back, then please do come back. It doesn't have to be a super chat. I'll put it up. So big up to you as well. Listen, I agree with what Sophie's saying. Albert, sorry, you did want to come in. Go on, mate.
Yeah, Dan, one thing I've learned about podcasting, not just in football YouTube, sometimes just listen. So that's why I kind of just sat back and listened to what the guys were saying and some of the stuff you see in the chat. Because it's interesting because I've heard the word standards a lot in the last 4 or 5 years. I hear it in capital letters, by the way, standards. Sophie's made a good point in terms of they're coming up against a juggernaut with Man City. And Tanner's obviously mentioned about the reasons as to why if Arsenal don't get over the line. I've heard the reasons for the last 4, 5, 6 weeks. We lost to Fulham on New Year's Eve. We drew a Fulham opening West. But my thing with that is, and this is my own personal opinion, people can bring that up, right? But let's be honest, Dan. If you're going to bring up, for example, we're losing to Fulham away, that was New Year's Eve, my friend. Yeah. You've got over 5 months of the season left. If you're going to be really, really honest as an Arsenal fan, if we don't get over the line, winning the league title, it's the Villa game. It's that simple. Dan, I saw the clip version. You know what I'm talking about when I'm going to say this to you. When you had the guys on Lawless and LB.
Oh,
I couldn't believe what I was watching. I couldn't believe what I was listening to. It's that simple. Look, as good as Liverpool have been, for example, they had not won a Premier League before. They had not won a league title. So let me rephrase that. Before even going back to the old First Division, Klopp only got over the line once. It shows how bloody difficult it is to win the Premier League. We should win the league just because we're Arsenal alone. That's not a good enough reason, man. you look at our European heritage, right? As a football club, it pains me as an Arsenal fan. Absolutely pains me. It'd give me nothing better than for us to win. Have had more European success. We've lost our last 4 finals, unfortunately. So there's no God-given right. You know, if you want to be really, really petty, then you know Liverpool in the same amount of Premier League titles as Blackburn and Leicester. But the wider context is they're a bloody good football team. And Jurgen Klopp's done a good job in 9 years. So don't tell me about standards. I'm old enough to remember Arsenal last time I was alive enough when we won a League Cup. People talk about that's one thing I will say about Arteta. Look, I want to see a better run more in the domestic cups, 100%. Because I don't want to be coming on Sophie's channel or coming on your channel, then coming to January time, right above domestic cup competitions, because that's going to fuel the fire. And just quickly before I finish up, with the Arteta thing, right? People have already made their mind up about the manager, irrespective of whatever he does. Yes, in the day, the next contract he gets at Arsenal, he has to deliver something for me. I actually said it this season. He's got to win a trophy personally. That was before the start of the season, mind you. By the way, let me give a bit of context to that. But yeah, it's interesting just when I sit back and I look at the chat boxes and Dad, I look at your comment section after you do streams, man, and I'm like, I don't know what to say anymore, man. Like we've got 2 more games left. Which we're going to touch on, which we're going to come on to about Man United. The scenes is not done. Have your recriminations. Start your own channels, even if you want the people who come in the chat boxes and watch YouTube content as consumers. And have your point. Make your point. Tell us why you feel the way you do. So if you eloquently made the point with the chat you brought up, Dan, big up to the guy for the super chat. Like, give us a bit more context, a bit more meat on the bones, because, you know, it is Arteta's first job, and I'll be to get a league title within your first 4 years as a manager. If it does happen, that's not bad going, Dan. To be fair to say,
in the Premier League, on top of it, against Man City.
Yeah, because what some people are comparing now. This is the new argument, but Alonso, look what he's doing in his first year.
Sophie, I saw. Oh my God! I mean,
this is and I have changed my mind about Mikel Arteta. The first 15 months, I could not see it, but I am. How can you not see what's happening? You can't deny what's been happening. And Emery inherited a broken football club from Arsene Wenger. And then Arteta inherited a broken football club because Emery wasn't given the tools and the power to do what Mikel Arteta did. He wanted to remove Ozil from the dressing room. He wasn't allowed to do that. He wanted to buy Zaha. He was given Pepe. And then you look at how broken we were. We went from meltdown, breakdown to rock bottom, and we needed football rehab. And Mikel Arteta and Edu have done that. I couldn't see it because all I was focused on was wins and losses, right? Super Kev always used to say to me, Soph, it's the players. Right. And I always believe that a team in the image of a manager is a team that succeeds the most. But when you lose to the man that you replaced in the semi-final of a European trophy, when you start the next season 0-0-0, I don't blame fans like me and other fans who were like, I just can't see it. When is this going to stop? But he's lucky that he had owners that a lot of people protested over that had the faith to stick with him and give him the money to invest to rebuild not only Arsenal on the pitch, but Arsenal off the pitch. We were broken. The Emirates was a library. No one wanted to go to games. And now we've kind of got a rebirth and have reminded people that we are still a big football club. They mistook us being a poor Premier League team for being a small club. We've always been a big club. And so, you know, next season, I agree, Albert, it has to deliver success. But to be in the position that we're in and want to change it and then say, well, look what Alonso's doing in his first season, where it's completely different landscape in German football. I mean, if they end up doing the treble without losing, amazing. What an achievement. It's an amazing achievement. But to suggest that Alonso would come to Liverpool and do the same, I just don't think you can do that.
Yeah,
You
fans
can't
do,
compare
Daniel.
that, man.
We live
You
in a
can't
very
compare that.
different time, man. We live in a different time.
100% it is. 100% it is,
Mm.
man. Listen, let me throw this super chat up from Nikhil. Big up to Nikhil. Says, really rhymes. Process, progress, success. Sophie should write a poem using these words. Got a nice ring to it. Couldn't agree more.
Maybe I
Big up
will.
for your super chat, man. Thank you very much. I much appreciate it.
Sophie, homework for
Big
tonight.
up. There you go. Some homework for you.
You should get that trademark, Sophie, as a
I will.
slogan. I know a Gunner
Slogan.
Blog did something similar, right? So yeah.
Yeah, man. 100%.
Maybe he heard it. I've been using it all season on the Highbury squad, so I'll take Gunner Blog to court. How about that?
There we go, man. Listen, I want to talk about this Arsenal Man United game. Before we do that, I just want to touch on something that Tanner did say, because I do think it's relevant in terms of if we don't win the league, there'll be questions why. But I don't think that's why because the manager's not good enough, or why because the Suns. I think it's like, let's look at why. Look at the reasons why. And I think that there will be where Arteta might need to improve on next season in terms of his decision making. I think it's fair to say. I don't think that's hard. I don't think that's harsh. I don't think it means he needs to get the hell out of here. I don't think it means to say that he's not good enough. I think that if you know something is not worked, don't not go back to what didn't work. You know, I'm getting to a stage now where maybe it's because I'm getting older. If I don't write stuff down, it don't happen. Yeah. And if I forget to do stuff, it's because I probably haven't wrote it down. So if I go into something, I won't write that down, I'll remember and I forget, more fool me. Yeah, because I know that don't work. And I've tried to make it work. And he's tried to force Havertz into this hate when he know it don't work. And it's lost us Villa, it's lost us Bayern, and we're out of those competitions now. Potentially lost the league because of it. I think that's fair. I don't think that's harsh. I don't think that's overly critical. It's just facts, right? So for me, that is where I would give the criticism if we were to lose this title. There's also the games against West Ham, Fulham at home. You can mention all that if you want, but that Villa game, it was in our hands, man. We had to
that's
be,
the problem. That's the thing.
and that was the one I think that everyone will look at